to my channel, and today is a very exciting day. So a couple orders of business. So first, I got a new camera, only it does not have a little flip out screen on the side. And so right now we're just like really hoping I'm in focus and in frame and everything. So to be honest, I don't really know how this video is gonna look, but we're gonna roll with it. So hopefully it looks okay and the quality looks good and whatnot. Right now I honestly have a little like makeup mirror behind this just to see if I'm like centered in the shot, but it's very hard to see. So hopefully it looks okay. Second order of business. Today is a very exciting day that felt like it would never come. It's been 3 years, but today is my first day of school. So today, on Monday, when you guys are watching this, I will be starting my last semester of my master's program. So like I said, my master's program was 3 years long, and so this day kind of felt like it would never come, but it is finally here, and I have just 15 more weeks of classes, and then I will officially be done with my master's program, and I will be able to just work, look for a job, and that sounds amazing after working full-time and going to school. But I figured since it is my first day of school, I will go ahead and come on here and maybe talk about some of the things that I wish I had known before starting my program. The first one is that grad school is not the same as undergrad. So I think that you kind of have to go into it with a little bit of a different mentality, because I feel like in undergrad, you're taking more general education courses. A lot of them aren't really as relevant, but in a grad school program, more likely than not, most of your classes are going to be very relevant to what you're actually doing in the real world. So it's going to be very beneficial to actually show up, do your readings, do your homework and whatnot. There are definitely some classes where I probably only went to like 2 or 3 of my undergrad courses and just went and took the final and called it good for some of my like GEs. The reality of it was that you could definitely miss a class, not do the readings, and still get by and do just fine. For graduate school, that's not something that is possible. Obviously, it depends on your cohort and what type of schooling you're going for. But for me, you know, my classes were very small, so your teachers knew whether you were there or not, and they expected you to be there. And on top of that, you know, like I said, most of the coursework that you're actually taking is very relevant to what you're going to be doing in the field and in the real world. And so it is, you know, to your benefit to actually be there and start learning those, you know, hard and soft skills. So it's definitely kind of you get out of it what you're going to put into it type of thing. I do feel like in grad school, if you show up and do the work and you're there, like you're gonna get an A in the class. That's not the, you know, difficult part of it. But really you wanna be there and be present, like mentally, so that you're able to really take in what it is that they're trying to teach you. The second thing that I wish I would have known before going to grad school is that earning my practicum hours was going to be very difficult. So for my program in particular, I actually needed 1,000 practicum hours. So what that means is hours like working in a real school setting. Well, for me, it's a school setting, but you know, working in a real site, like on the ground, not getting paid for it, but working there and essentially being employed by them for 20 hours a week. And I think when I first started my program, I was like, oh, that comes at the end. Like, I'll definitely be able to do it. 60-hour work weeks will be fine. It's only a year. Anyone can do anything for a year. And I think that that's true. But I think for me, what I didn't logically like think through was the fact that I currently, for my full-time work, actually work in a school setting. So I have to be at work from 8 to 5, and that's the time where I'm, you know, expected to be at work. And for my practicum, I was also going to need to be in a school setting. So those schools are open 7 to 3. And so what I didn't think about is how am I going to get 60 hours while also, you know, fitting that all into times where people are at school. Logistically, that was very difficult for me, and I was very, very blessed to have a workplace that was so accommodating and so able to be flexible with me and give me night hours and move some of my appointments around. But you know, I know that that's not always the case. So what I would say is if you are doing a program that requires any sort of like practicum or any sort of on the ground like field experience, really ask a lot of questions when you're first applying to the program about what that looks like. How many hours per week are they expecting? You know, what do those hours look like? Will they be able to be done from home, or are they going to be on the ground on the site? You know, all of those are really good questions and really good logistics to figure out before you, I guess, have to. Because I think for me, if I had kind of planned that out a little better, I would have realized that it was actually going to be quite challenging to fit that all into a week. The next thing that I wish I would have known before starting my program is to really do your research on the different programs out there. So, you know, I feel like for grad school programs, there are such specific programs out there in the world. So for example, I'm doing a master's of social work, but I will end up having a specialization in children, youth, and families in school settings with a PPSC credential. So it's like such a specific program that I'm in that's really geared towards what I'm interested in and the population that I want to end up serving in the future. And so I would say if you want to do social work, don't just join any social work program. Really think about the population that you're wanting to work in. And I know for myself, the program that I was able to find does have a little bit of both. So a lot of my core classes were just in social work. So I got more of a broad sense of what that looked like in case I do ever want to go maybe more into the medical field or more into, you know, social services as opposed to like just a school setting. But then the other half of my classes was very school focused and school based, since I know that that's where I want to be in the future. And so I was able to kind of get those more specific classes as well. So really look into the programs, do your research, find a program where you're going to be taking classes where you're actually passionate about what you're learning. Because again, the classes are going to be so hands-on and so specific. And I feel like if you're sitting there learning about something that you don't actually want to practice in the future, then it's going to be a lot harder to be engaged and to be present than if you're learning about something that you know you want to use and you know you want to you know, implement in your life and in your, you know, workplace later on. Okay, so the next thing that I wish I would have known, I guess I kind of knew, but I just didn't really practice, was to utilize your network. So I went to USC. So USC, that's literally what they're known for. That was part of the reason I picked this school, was because they have such a huge network in Southern California. And I know, especially within the social work realm, they put out a lot of social workers in Southern California. Even at my practicum site, I think every social worker on the site was a USC graduate. And part of why I think that they were interested in hiring me on was because I was in the USC program and they wanted to work with the USC program. So, you know, that network is definitely something you want to utilize and take advantage of, especially while you're still in school. So go to all of those little like mixers. I know, especially right now when they're on Zoom, it can feel really tedious, you know, when they're all online and it doesn't feel like real, but I feel like it's still beneficial to really get to know the people in your program, especially your professors. Something I've noticed is a lot of my professors are very willing to just give you advice on, you know, what life is like in the field. And I don't know for all programs, but it feels like for social work programs, a lot of the people who are teaching now actually worked in the field or still work in the field today, and they're just kind of teaching on the side. And so a lot of them have a lot of real life experience, and they can give you a lot of advice on what it looks like to actually, you know, start your own practice or to work in a school or to, you know, be part of starting the program in a school. And so their advice and their, you know, experiences are going to be very beneficial to you. So get to know them. Another thing is get to know your classmates, right? Because they're also part of your network, and all of your classmates are going to be people who are working in the same field as you, in the same time as you, and probably in the same area as you, especially if you're in an on-the-ground program where you guys all, you know, live in the same place. Then a lot of these people are probably going to be going into this field, and they're going to be good connections for you to have in the future. So definitely get to utilize your network. That's something I definitely did not do enough, honestly, just because I was busy. So I would say that's kind of another thing. This is like a side note, is I know I personally worked full-time while doing grad school, and I think that there were a lot of benefits to that. Now that I'm graduating, I'm not super stressed about finding a job right away. I was able to maintain that income. But one piece of advice that I would have is if it's possible to cut back your hours at all at your, you know, regular job, or to work maybe part-time, I would definitely recommend that. I think for myself personally, because I was working full-time and going to school and doing practicum, I feel like it was really hard for me to kind of hone in and focus on my program as much, and to kind of get involved in those other ways that might be beneficial. So, you know, going to those, you know, mixers after class, or getting more engaged with my classmates via meetings and whatnot. I feel like that was very difficult for me just because I literally didn't have enough hours in the day. So I would say if you can cut back your working hours at all, if that's like feasible for you, I would definitely recommend doing that for the duration of your program. And lastly, this is more for people who are going to master's programs where you have some sort of field work or on the ground experience. I wish I would have known that I was going to feel like I had no idea what I was doing, and that was okay and that was normal. When you're on the ground, especially for school social work, you kind of are thrown straight into it. So I had one semester of like a virtual practicum, which basically means we had like actors who were pretending to be clients and we were doing therapy with them. Now for me, for my virtual practicum, I was working with a actor who was playing a veteran. So it was, you know, an adult population dealing with drug abuse, and that's not exactly the population that I intended to work with. So a lot of, I feel like, the skills that I learned in those, you know, virtual practicum hours weren't necessarily totally as applicable to a school setting. When I got into a school setting, my first week of internship, I was being given cases. So obviously you're shadowed for the first few, but very quickly after that, you know, I was having my own caseload and I was seeing clients. And I think the scariest thing was like my second week in, I ended up doing a suicide risk assessment for a student who came in for self-harm, and that was, you know, crazy. And I was like, I'm not equipped for this, like I'm just an intern, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that it's very easy for you to get inside your head and to feel like you're the only one who doesn't know what you're doing. But what I would encourage you to realize is that we're all students and we're all learning, and that's why you're in the program, and that's why you have professors and supervisors and whatnot and people, you know, going over your notes so that you can learn those things and you can ask the questions that you have. And what I would say is just never be afraid to ask for help. So for example, if during one of my sessions I didn't, you know what to do or whatnot, grab your supervisor, talk to them, be honest with them and open with them about where you're at and what help you need, because that's why they're there, you know, to help promote your growth and your learning experience. And so just know that it's okay if you feel that way. You know, you're in the program to grow and to learn, and by the end of your practicum, you're going to be in a completely different space than you were at the beginning of it. You know, by the end of it, I felt so much more comfortable just talking to kids and meeting with kids and engaging with kids, and I feel like in the beginning, all of that was really nerve-wracking. And so by the end, you're going to have all of these skills built up. It can be easy to kind of jump to, you know, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Should I even be in this program? Everyone around me seems so confident, but they're not. Everyone in your program is also nervous and is also doing all of these things for the first time, most likely. And so know that you are not alone. And then when you go into the real world, it'll probably start all over again, where you'll feel like you have no idea what you're doing again, and you'll learn and grow and kind of become the expert in that field as you go. That's normal and that's okay. Don't feel like you're, you know, not good enough. All right, I think that was pretty much all I had for today. If you're thinking about going to grad school or you're thinking about entering a social work program, definitely hit me up in the comments down below if you have any questions. I can share more about my experiences and my time in my program. Other than that, thank you for joining me on this video and for celebrating my first day of school. 15 more weeks. I'll probably make another video to celebrate the end of my program. Maybe if I end up having a graduation, it might be virtual. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but maybe I'll bring you guys along for that. But other than that, I'm very excited to almost be done, and hopefully this video was like in focus and you could see me, and you know, I don't really know what's going on with it. Again, new camera, we'll figure it out, we'll get there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to like this video on your way out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. There's like 84% of my viewers who aren't subscribed to my channel, so I know you're not subscribing, but it really does help out my channel. So please hit the subscribe button below. And other than that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.